So I'm with Drew Powell, The Unbreakable Boy. What a really cool film. Just
Thank you.
very inspiring film and very inspiring character. I see a lot of movies. I don't know what to give away about your role, but it's a very layered role. And can you tell our listeners why it's so layered? I just in my I think it's just a very special role.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's one of actually one of my most favorite roles I've ever gotten a chance to play. And even though I suppose it's a minor spoiler, it's okay, I think, to talk about it because it happens early and it doesn't really affect too much of the film. And then that's that Joe is an imaginary friend to Scott, the main character. And the truth is that the real Scott Lorette had an imaginary friend named Joe, and so that's where this came from. Apparently, he would talk to himself, and as he was growing up, and his parents would ask him who he was talking to. So he gave him the name Joe, and so yeah, I'm talking to Joe, and so I love that this imaginary friend was real. If you follow me, and it was just as you say, layered. It was great because he's there for the good times, he's there for the bad times. He's the angel on the shoulder, the devil on the shoulder. And man, what a cool role to play. So I enjoyed all of the elements of this character and getting to do it.
Yeah, I really love how The Unbreakable Boy, as adults, when tragedy hits us, we, some of us might shrink or maybe hurt other people or become negative. But this movie is about persevering through all of
Yes.
those times. Can you speak to that? Because I really loved how it was a very inside look at the trials and travails and the triumphs of a family.
Yeah, of a normal family, right? Of like a family that still lives in Omaha, and they're great people, but like that's what I love about this. We have lots of superhero movies. We have lots of movies about people that went on to do incredible things, but it's important to have a movie about a normal family that went through this incredible experience of what it's like to be a family. And you said it so well that to persevere and how they dealt with. I think that's at the heart of this movie is what happens, when you hit rock bottom as a parent, as a person, and how this family stayed together and remains together, and how this kid, who has, I think I read somewhere like 1 in 4 billion chance that you have autism and brittle bones syndrome, osteogenesis imperfecta, but how special he is and what a light he brings. And, I've met the family on several occasions, and it's just, to me, one of the coolest things about this movie is that it's about real folks, this real family. And as a parent myself, I mean, to shine a spotlight on what it means to be a parent and how hard it can be and how extra hard it can be if you have a kid with special needs, man, that's special to shine a light on those folks.
Uh, we all know as adults that we have a very just busy schedule, and one of my main bittersweet moments regarding your film is I don't think I'll ever see Zachary or Meghan or you go on the road with your guitar and singing. What was that like? That's sort of bittersweet because I loved what I got to see. So
Yeah, man, that was, and what's so great about the fact that John kept that in the movie, in the end credits, is that it was so indicative of our time together. This was such a unique experience. We were shooting in the middle of COVID, pre-vaccine. You know, people were. I think we might have been the only movie that didn't get shut down with COVID. We were always getting tested, and you remember those times were crazy. It was the wild, wild west. What's going on? And so consequently, whereas in other movies people go off in their separate ways, they do their thing, most of us were together a lot, and we would spend time. And one of the things we love to do, is sing and play the guitar, and we would do that all the time. And so we were sitting around singing that song on set, and John said, "Hey, come on, let's turn the cameras on. Let's record that." And so we did. And it's just it's a lullaby. I'll always be with you that Pancho, the composer, wrote, and it's just beautiful. I sing it to my son. I did when he's 14 now, so I don't think I'm allowed to sing him lullabies anymore. But it's a special moment, and we really did. Yeah, we blended well together, and I'm glad that exists. Even if we never get to go on the road together, I'm glad that in that moment in time we had that. So yeah.
so Joe is an imaginary friend, but on that imaginary level, on maybe on a realer level, did you feel like you had not an imaginary friend, but an inner voice that kept you going as an actor all these years? Because is that one of the reasons for your success? Obviously, it's a lot of hard work and just collaborating correctly with with so many different people. But is listening to that inner voice a big part of who you are, or maybe not? Is that overshooting?
Yeah, no, I like that. I haven't thought about it in that particular way, but I will say, to me, being an actor is a calling. I come from my parents both met in seminary. They're pastors or they're retired now, but they they had a calling to do that work, and I feel exactly the same way about what I do because for one thing, you'd be crazy just to do this if you didn't have a calling. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of rejection and a lot of uncertainty, but when it all comes together like it did in this movie, and that's why I'm so proud to talk about this film, is that this for me is one of my most favorite roles I've played, and I love this movie, and I love the playing Joe, and I loved all the bits about it, and that's when the calling kind of you really see it arrive in your life, and so yeah, I think that whether you call it an inner voice or your whatever it is, that's the kind of thing that as an actor you gotta have to keep going. There's so many moments where it would be a lot easier to quit, but I'm sure glad I never did, and especially in these moments to celebrate what it is that we do and get to tell these stories and touch lives. That is just the icing on the cake for me.
Drew, final question is a two-parter. First off, can you name one of your all-time favorite movies, and what is it about this movie that speaks to you on a personal level? And the B side of that is, can you pick a movie or TV show from your own body of work that after people watch The Unbreakable Boy, that you would want to lead them to, a work of yours that you might feel is underrated and also personal to you?
Yeah. Good question, man. This is a answer that I should always have. I should admit that I'm like I've got pretty bad ADD. It's hard for me to focus on any one thing. So picking a favorite movie has always been so tough for me because I like movie. To me, movies are like they come to me in certain times, and so there's a time in my life when a movie is really like a movie that was. I can tell you movies that resonated with me for whatever reason. The first movie I ever cried in was Dances with Wolves.
Of course.
Yeah, right. I don't know why. It was a movie that I was maybe coming of age, and that touched me. Forrest Gump is a movie that I remember watching in the theater, and that was really a touching movie for me. And then I can also remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off as a kid, like was so full of joy, and a movie that if it's on, I still can't like turn it off. And I'm from Indiana, and I'm a big sports fan, and
Of
still play
course.
basketball. So Hoosiers, which was shot partially in my hometown in Lebanon, Indiana, was that's a movie that I love, and I think is kind of underrated as a dramatic film because there's some beautiful performances in that, like Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman
Yeah.
and those kids. There's a big answer to your question there, but in terms of my work,
Yeah.
you know, um, I loved the interesting stuff we got to do with Gotham because on the surface you're like, oh, it's a comic book show, right? But there were so many over the course of the 4 seasons that I'm in, so many different little elements that we got to do, that different pieces that were fun. So that's one that I love, always have loved. And the I'm in a show right now called The Pit, and that's a special show. I am a different kind of character than I am in this movie. Not exactly not the happy guy, but
What am I missing right now? Because I can watch it right now, but what am I missing on layman's terms?
meaning
Like, what am I missing out on by not watching it, basically?
well, it tells the story of an emergency room post COVID. So it's the whole season is one day in the life of this ER doctor played by Noah Wiley. It's John Wells is the producer who did West Wing and ER, and so it is to me just such a powerful and on really important show post COVID, talking about these heroes that are in our emergency rooms, the first responders, and so it's a really special show. It's I think 6 episodes have actually tomorrow is the seventh that's dropping. So that's a fun. It's all the things. It's very different than Unbreakable Boy, but it's something that I've recently we just had the rap party last weekend. So It's something that's been on my mind, and a show that I knew was going to be good from the beginning. Noah's a good friend of mine, so I knew the show was going to be good, and it's proven to be really good and very popular at this point. So I definitely recommend that one.
Drew, thank you so much for your time. Really love the film. Excited to see the pit. And before I let you go, are you a huge fan of the Pacers and the Fever? Because I'm so into the WNBA. I'm a lemming. I just love watching the Fever play. Just wondering. And thanks again for your
Yes,
time.
absolutely. No, 100%, man. I'm a huge Pacer fan. Gotten to know some of the guys actually on the team, and I grew up. I'm a proud Hoosier, and then the Fever. I was a fan of the Fever before Caitlin Clark showed up. So Kelsey Mitchell is actually a friend of
Yes.
mine, and we would go to see the Fever when I'd come home or when they'd come out to LA, and so it's fun to see everybody kind of pile on the bandwagon now. Look, as a Hoosier, basketball is kind of in the blood. So I'm always ready to talk basketball, and I think it's really cool to see the WNBA kind of really on this rise. Like you, I'm a big fan, and it's fun to watch that because it's a different kind of game than the NBA,
Beautiful game.
and I love that. So I like them both. And March Madness, forget it. Like I'm on lock for a whole month. That is to me one of the greatest sporting events in all of the world is that 64 team tournament. And all the heart and soul that goes into that. So yeah, you got me with basketball, man. I can talk that all day.
So thanks again so much for your time. And before I go, very quickly, no one, as you know better than me, she's your friend. No one can score like Kelsey Mitchell. She's amazing. So,
Couldn't
and,
agree more. I hope you
okay,
see this, Kelsey. She's the goat. I got her jersey right in my closet right now.
amazing. All right, thanks again, Drew. Bye bye.
Cheers.
Okay,
Take
cheers.
care, buddy.
Take care. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.